T2, Chapter 1, The Silent Static and the Shifting Veil. The Aegis Station, a beacon of chrome and muted gray nestled within the Pyrenees, hummed with a sterile logic that belied the fractured realities displayed on its screens. Here, amidst advanced filters and purified air, the pervasive weight of the scar lingered. Not the usual stench of corrupted flow, but a relentless pressure, as if reality itself unraveled from within. Chiesa, the architect of minds, observed the scar crew and the outcasts with an icy gaze, cataloging every twitch, every errant thought. She knew Mariah's weaponized madness was not merely a local problem. It was a critical variable in this unseen war, a signal of suffering that threatened to unravel the very script of existence. Within the station's command center, the main holographic display shimmered, projecting a muted topographical map of multiversal ley lines, a sprawling testament to conflicts unrelated to their immediate objective. Praxis's expansion, the Hunt's raids, chronoparasite activity, all big, obvious threats. Yet Mariah's elusive signature, desperately sought, remained a ghost in the machine, stubbornly absent from conventional readouts. The constant, low hum of advanced machinery mocked them, unable to pinpoint the one anomaly that mattered most. Florence Baxter, known as Tempo, perched on the console, fiddling with a stray wire on her custom sonic rig. Its vibrant purple glow was a tiny rebellion against the clinical white of the room, her frustration palpable. Yo, this rest and recalibration, she thought. Her Brooklyn-born nerves are jangled tighter than a snare drum before a stadium show. More like purgatory. Chiesa talks bandwidth while chronoparasites snack on timelines and other factions' beef. We're still hunting for Mariah, who's probably cloaked herself in enough crazy to make a black hole blush. This is grinding my gears. Blade's a storm cloud, and Mariah's mess just twists the knife in him. We gotta find her. For him as much as for the universe. Blade, Jeremiah Crumpler, a silhouette of brooding impatience, watched the swirling projections, his fanged mask reflecting the cool light, one mismatched eye fixed on the empty space where Mariah's signal should have been. His low grunt punctuated Tempo's internal monologue, a weary confirmation of her frustrations. This sterile hum amplifies the screaming absence where sanity used to be. Mariah, still out there, a raw wound. He unconsciously clenched his katana hilt, knuckles white, the leather creaking faintly. I tried to pull her back, make her see, feel. She just twisted it, weaponized it, until my mind frayed. Chiesa's analysis is just words. I need her broken, or quiet. This waiting is torture, a drum solo stuck on repeat. Yet a stupid, hopeful part wonders if anything's left to save. If the Mariah I knew is still buried beneath the static. A faint tremor ran through his arm, quickly suppressed. Helena, the Shadow Fang, observed him, crimson eyes narrowed. Blade's pain was a constant thrum, a low growl in her mind. Mariah. The name tasted like ash. She was a threat, a wound festering in Blade. Helena's fingers flexed, a predatory readiness in her stance, shadows deepening. She would find Mariah, not just for the mission, but to silence Blade's soul. Her only flow stirred with protective ferocity. Hunt. Silence. That was her purpose. Director Chiesa, her thoughts precise and analytical, focused on her primary objective, understanding the Genesis strain's vectors. Mariah, a volatile, weaponized psychosis. Her Oni amplified siren of static signature, though veiled by the alchemist and Quinn, leaves persistent ripples. Her mapper and Wren's data confirmed it. Mariah's pathology was a beacon. The outcasts, with their heightened perceptions, are vital sensory extensions, uniquely suited to this hunt. The hunt for Mariah Michaels is ongoing. Her unique flow signature, the siren of static, has proven elusive, but every ripple in the ambient flow leaves a trace. Ran initial correlations? Ren Sato, his lean frame hunched over his console, fingers dancing across the interface, responded. Director, the temporal/ontological mapper is picking up sustained reality distortions in the Epsilon 7 quadrant. Faint but persistent. Nia, Ayana, Alasdair, amplify your perceptions. Your input is crucial here. Naya Adebayo, whose posture slumped under an unseen weight, closed her eyes, a faint tremor running through her. Emotional static, Director. A cold spot. A profound suppression of feeling. Her contagion is undeniably present, radiating outwards from the distortion. Ayana Baptiste, head cocked, her expression shifting with the phantom sounds only she could perceive, murmured, a low, guttural hum escaping her lips. Beneath the static, a corrupted song. Lyricanon Prime's sharp harmony, intertwined with something vast, ancient, quantum. A puppeteer's tune. Alistair Finch, agitated, traced invisible patterns in the air, his geometric vision processing the raw data into unsettling, shifting forms. The geometry, it's beautiful in its twisted logic. A perfect, concentric web of distortion. Reality fraying, pixelating. Not random. It's a trap. A carefully constructed, multi-layered trap. Designed to unravel everything that approaches it. Leif Magnus Johansson, known as Shortcut, a Norwegian quantum mechanic, lanky and buzzing with nervous energy, thought, whoa! Fraying reality? My quantum processor's singing with this paradox. The alchemist's cloaking tries to make the universe forget Mariah, but you can't unexist a quantum ripple, you dig? Like hiding a black hole with a tablecloth. The gravity's still there. We'll find her by feeling the quantum weirdness she leaves behind, not with a flashlight, but a cosmic Geiger counter for crazy. He bounced slightly on his feet, nervous energy buzzing beneath his iridescent gear, a faint hum radiating. Tempo's voice, a mix of disbelief and surging, volatile anger, cut through the air. Mianyang? My mother's there? Fightin' some bozos, she said, referring to Isabella Florence Baxter, the Queen of Flow. That cosmic puppet master? They're really grinding my gears now, pulling my mama into this mess. This is personal, you hear me? Personal. Blade cast a weary glance at the map. Well, ain't this just some bullshit? Feels like I'm reliving the bad breakups. He paused. So the alchemist's cooking up some new flavor of madness, and Quinn's conducting the symphony of suffering. And Mariah, they don't know the level of crazy, mixed with Oni energy. The world will know true sickness. Rensato confirmed, the primary target signature amplified by the ambient energy, it's Mariah. And the alchemist is with her. It's a two-birds trap director, using Lyra Cannon Prime as bait to lure in the main event. Samson, a fortress of calm and discipline, stepped forward. The mission's weight settled, not just physical threats, but souls unraveling. Florence's grief, Jeremiah's raw wound. I feel their subtle discord against my inner stillness. This is a battle for the very essence of humanity in a fractured multiverse. My duty, to be the anchor, absorb chaos, and ensure their righteous path does not consume them. A high-stakes gamble, Kiza. We must win, not just with force, but with understanding. A grim fury stirred within him, a quiet rage at Mariah, at the alchemist, at Quinn, at all who weaponize suffering and twist the flow into such vile forms. They desecrate balance, and for that, they would meet unyielding force. He subtly adjusted his grip on his polished blade, the cool steel, a familiar weight against his palm, grounding him, his broad shoulders seeming to absorb the tension in the room. Your grief is a heavy burden, Tempo, but your intent is clear. The path you walk is righteous. Director, the location of this conflict? Mianyang, China. The confluence of several ley lines, historically a nexus for amplified flow. A strategic choke point. The bait, as you so eloquently put it, Tempo, is positioned to draw out both our forces and Quinn's for another composition by the quantum goddess, and by the alchemist's great flowering of cultivated consciousness. Resource allocation, Florence, and the primary resource in any conflict is a well-applied understanding of force. This is not mop-up. This is targeted interception, Chiesa explained. Scarjan, a being of cracked earth skin, unnervingly still, their voice like stones grinding together, rumbled, the glowing fissures on their skin pulsing faintly. Decay, this is not the natural cycle. This is a perversion. Mariah, a festering wound. The alchemist, a parasite feeding on the rot. Quinn, the architect of this unnatural blight. They twist the earth's song into a shriek of suffering. All structures crumble, yes, but not like this. Not with such malice. My very being rebels against this corruption. The earth demands balance, and these aberrations, they will be returned to dust. Their fury will be amplified. Their sorrow will be their end. A faint green glow intensified within the fissures on their skin, a subtle tremor running through the floor beneath their feet, as if the very ground resonated with their suppressed rage. All structures are temporary illusions, Director. This one, more than most. The earth, it screams with their fury. And their sorrow. Chiesa's voice cut through the air, sharp and decisive. The siren of static has weaponized her pathology. Initiate immediate deployment procedures. The Requiem is ready for launch. The objective is Mianyang. The counterattack begins. T2, Chapter 2. The Dragon's Breath and the Weight of Trust. From Samson's perspective, the hum in the light's hangar, usually a sterile thrum of logic, now resonated with the raw power of imminent action. Immediate deployment. Chiesa's command, a single ripple, transformed the air into a thrum of anticipation. He watched Rensato, their wirehead, move with a rare, almost manic energy, his greased hands flying over consoles as he put the finishing touches on the Requiem. That salvaged Legion beast sat transformed, its scarred plating now gleaming with borrowed light tech, pulsing with raw power. The Requiem systems are running at peak efficiency, Samson. A marvel of integration. Ren's voice, though still enthusiastic, held a sharper, more technical edge. He gestured towards the vessel. Advanced shields for psychic, small projectiles, most energy weapons. A fortress, essentially. And cloaked tighter than a government secret. Faster, too. He tapped a newly installed console. Tempo's got a new toy up top. Rotating sonic gun. Focuses her flow like a laser. Twin 50 cals, of course. And this beauty, he patted a sleek, low-mounted cannon. 180-degree rotation. Never runs out of ammo. But she needs a 30-minute cooldown after a full burst. And yeah, I put a sound system with some serious bass in there. For morale, you know? Samson nodded, the metallic tang of recycled air filling his lungs. A necessary upgrade, Ren, he rumbled. The chaos outside demanded such tools. As the others began their final checks, adjusting harnesses and securing gear, Kiesa stepped silently to Samson's side. Her presence, always precise, always calculating, seemed to carry a heavier weight today. Samson, she began, voice low. A moment. Samson turned, his gaze steady on blade, sharpening his katana. He may seem strong, unwavering, Kiesa continued, her voice gaining a raw edge, a hint of her burden. But Mariah, her twisted, untreated love, amplified by destructive power, holds him. It's a tragedy threatening to consume him entirely. She paused, a flicker of anguish in her eyes. You are this team's anchor, Samson. The level head. You understand chaos, but Blade's internal conflict is severe. He loves Mariah, yet his Clover persona, that dark, manic aspect of his bipolar flow, desires to harm her. It's a self-destructive paradox, a wound within a wound. Her words settled, a cold stone. More than a mission, this was a tightrope walk over psychological unraveling. Florence's grief, Jeremiah's raw wound. Samson felt their subtle discord against his stillness. His duty, to anchor, absorb chaos, ensure their righteous path. A high-stakes gamble. They must win, not just with force, but with understanding. How will I know, Director? Samson asked. What signs mark this Clover persona? Kiesa's eyes narrowed, her voice urgent, almost a plea. His Clover mode manifests as extreme power, racing thoughts, dangerous restlessness. He'll be highly active, rejecting softer approaches. Expect surges of anger, violent impulses, chilling disregard for collateral when he focuses on Mariah. His underlying hopelessness may mask this aggressive facade. He'll become singularly focused, predatory. His Yami aspect, destructive shadow energy, will dominate, pushing him to brutal efficiency. It's a terrifying transformation, a descent into weaponized rage. If his control shatters, bring him back to me. Alive, no matter the cost. Do you understand the gravity, Samson? He's too valuable to lose, to himself and to us. Samson met her gaze, a silent vow passing between them. This was a trust he did not take lightly. Below, the outcasts gathered. Zara Khan, a demigirl humanoid with an uncanny, innate ability to manipulate probability fields. Her dark eyes haunted, swayed slightly, filtering countless catastrophic futures through her fractured temporal perception. Her voice, when she spoke to Nia, was barely a whisper. The timelines, they're bleeding. So much pain, Nia. It's like a scream, but no one hears it. Just static. Nia Adebayo, an empath with the ability to amplify the world's pain, pressed her hands to her ears, a constant tremor running through her frame. Too much, she murmured, her voice raw. So much fear, so much despair. It's suffocating. Alasdair Al-Finch, a geometric flow user, his movements sharp and almost spastic, saw the world as a shifting, fracturing kaleidoscope of unstable shapes. The geometry is all wrong, he snapped, his voice tight with agitation. He lashed out at an imaginary distortion, his fists clenching. His fury, usually a liability, might be a shield against Mariah's reality-warping abilities. Ayana Aya Baptiste, an auditory flow user, her head tilted, listened intently to unseen whispers and screams. Her eyes darted around, betraying a deep-seated paranoia. They're laughing, she muttered. Always laughing, just beneath the surface. Her unique auditory sensitivity, a curse in normal times, might just give them an early warning of Mariah's approach, a corrupted song in the flow. Samson scanned the remaining members of their unit. Ronan, his hunger for control, was better suited to remote strategic manipulation. Tanakh, his internal struggle with self-destructive urges, too volatile for close-quarters infiltration. And Nova, with her profound detachment, better suited to observing from afar, her inner emptiness a strange kind of shield against psychic noise. Their skills were vital, but for this mission their place was here, on comms, providing support from the relative safety of the base. The others, Zara, Nia, Alistair, and Ayana, though burdened by their unique flows, were precisely the perceptive instruments they needed for this unseen war. Their vulnerabilities were their strengths. Florence, their tempo, sauntered over, her purple-streaked hair catching the light. "All right, samurai," she quipped, her Brooklyn vernacular cutting through the tension. "You got your marching orders from the head honcho. Try not to let Blade go full Clover on us, yeah? We need his ass functional for the reunion with his lady love." She nudged Samson with her elbow. "And if my mama's involved, you know this ain't gonna be pretty. That cosmic puppet master plays dirty, real dirty." Blade looked up from his katana, his two eyes, one Hikari blue, one Yami red, glinting. "We move," he stated, his voice flat, his gaze distant. Samson met his eyes, searching for the first flicker of the darkness Chiesa warned about. Not yet. Not fully, but the undercurrent was there. Shortcut, lanky and buzzing with nervous energy, phased a hand through a bulkhead. "Mianyang, here we come," he chirped, a quantum mechanic pun already forming on his lips. Hopefully their realities got fewer kinks than ours. Skargan, her cracked earth skin pulsing with faint green light, simply rumbled. "Earth will accept all," she said, her voice like grinding rock, a grim acceptance of the inevitable decay that awaited them. They boarded the Requiem. The ramp hissed shut, plunging them into the cool, recycled air of the transport. The engines roared, a deep thrumming that resonated through the deck plates. This was more than a flight. It was a descent into a deepening madness. A rescue. A confrontation. And for Samson, a vigil. To keep the anchor steady, and to watch the shadow of the Clover persona, waiting for the moment he might have to pull Blade back from the precipice. ACT 2, Chapter 3, Trauma Love. From Helena's perspective, the hum in the Requiem was a low thrum against her bones, a counterpoint to the silence she usually sought. It was heavy, this quiet thick with unspoken tension. Blade, he was a still silhouette against the viewport, the red glow from his Yami eye catching the Pyrenees peaks as they dipped low. She watched him, every muscle, every subtle shift. Chiesa's words, her warnings about the Clover persona resonated. He was thinking of Mariah. They all were. Then his voice cut through the hum, raw and low, like a blade dragged across stone. Mariah, she wasn't all bad. I seen the sadness in her tempo. Deep down, beneath all that static in her head. He turned. Even through his mask, the weight of his words pressed. She just wanted to be normal, you know? And all I wanted was love. Real love. He sighed, a heavy sound that tightened something in Helena's chest. She gave love in her own way, I guess. Twisted, maybe. But I felt it, in those moments. And loneliness, man, that shit's painful. After some time, your thoughts turn dark. Real dark. He looked away again, his gaze distant, lost in those old memories. I was helping her with emotions, trying to get her to feel something real. Told her not to tell me she loved me just because I said it. You know? Never tell anyone you love them if you don't. That shit's sacred. But then, the drugs came. Again. And again. And it was like she slipped right through my fingers, into that fog. His pain. A constant thrum. A raw wound. The words were not just words. They were echoes of his suffering. Helena's oni flow stirred. A low growl beneath her skin. Mariah. The source. The one who had twisted him, broken him. This mission was not just a target. It was a hunt for the one who had wounded her Blade. A flicker of light, Hikari, pulsed around Blade's eyes. A desperate attempt to conceal the wetness that betrayed his anguish. Only Helena saw it, a momentary break in his control, swiftly masked by his flow. Just then, Ren's voice crackled, cutting through the heavy air. "Yo, we're approaching the Mianyang airspace. Thermal pings everywhere. It's a damn party, and we ain't on the guest list." Tempo barked. "Screens up, Ren!" "What we looking at?" Helena felt the surge of Tempo's flow, a steady beat revving up, ready for the drop. Her own senses sharpened, crimson eyes scanning the reports. The main screen flickered, showing a war zone. Mianyang under siege. Half the enemy forces tearing through the city, explosions rocking the skyline. The other half, Queen of Flow, Ayana's voice, usually plagued by whispers, was sharp and clear over the comms, a rare moment of clarity in her chaos. "I hear her. Her essence. And the Sonic Syndicate, they're pinned down east side of the city." The screen zoomed in, the siren of static. Her disheveled form terrifyingly augmented, leading an army. And beside her, the alchemist, a snake. Quinn's forces, but augmented, moving with chilling, synchronized precision, tearing into the Queen of Flow and her Sonic Syndicate, Tempo's mother, in the thick of it. "Hold fast," Samson's calm, deep voice. "Ren, you're at the helm. Full power to shields, then cloaking for insertion." We ain't coming in quiet, but we ain't coming in slow either. Helena's fingers flexed, itching for her commas. About damn time. The Alchemist, using Lyric Cannon Prime as bait for Blade. A sickening trap, designed to break him. No, they were about to drop the beat on their whole operation, the Requiem Dove, plunging through the Mianyang clouds like a vengeful angel. Explosions ripped through the air around them, but Ren's shields held. Below, Helena could see Lyric Cannon Prime, the Queen of Flow, her energy crackling as she fought, her forces overwhelmed. Lock and load, bitches! Tempo yelled, her flow surging, ready to unleash a sonic wave. Blade and Helena were already poised at the ramp, their forms tense, ready to jump into the fray. A grim nod passed between Blade and Samson. Tempo's jaw was set. Shortcut's fingers twitched, ready to phase. Scargan's glowing fissures pulsed with a silent promise of ruin. They were a broken crew, but they were ready. They arrived just in time. The Requiem roared, its newly amplified sound system, blasting Love as a Battlefield, letting out a bass drop that rattled the very air, signaling their arrival. Tempo's sonic cannon whined to life, ready to sing a song of righteous fury. The Scar crew had hit the battlefield, and they were here to fuck shit up. T2, Chapter 4, The Righteous Symphony, Mariah's perspective. The hum in Mianyang wasn't just a hum, it was a symphony of validation. My truth, finally echoing back to me. They called it chaos, but it was just the world shedding its lies, revealing the true patterns. The alchemist, with his quiet understanding, merely nodded as I spoke. His presence a steady anchor against the swirling accusations that always seemed to follow me. "They're coming, my queen," he rasped, his voice like dry leaves skittering across cracked asphalt. "The ones who seek to bind you, the so-called Queen of Flow, with her screeching, discordant energy. And behind them, the one who calls himself Jeremiah. The liar, the ultimate betrayer. He didn't need to tell me. I felt them, their energies, so loud and discordant, trying to force their fake reality onto my perfect symphony. They were the problem, always trying to control me, always trying to tell me who I was. Crazy, they whispered. Sick. But I wasn't sick. I was awake. I was the one who saw the strings, the lies. That woman, the queen, her flow, was a screeching siren, trying to drown out my truth. And Jeremiah, he was the worst. He thought he could fix me. He thought he could record my thoughts, twist my words, make me believe his lies. He was the reason for everything. The reason the trip went bad, the reason I was in this situation. He was the one who abandoned me, who left me to suffer while he played his little hero games. This wasn't a battle. It was a reckoning he brought upon himself. They think they can corner me, I mused, a slow smile spreading across my face. The buildings around us shimmered, their edges blurring, the concrete twisting into soft, pliable shapes. My reality dissociation aura was working beautifully. Let them try to fight in a world that refused to stay still. Let their minds fray. It was their own fault for trying to deny my truth, for trying to trap me in their sick games. They were the ones on drugs, not me. He was the one with the bipolar, not me. The alchemist chuckled, a dry, raspy sound. Their focus will break. Their memories will fray when they try to cross you. Your cognitive erosion projection is exquisite. They will forget their purpose, just as they tried to make you forget yours. He was right. I could feel it, the subtle push, like a whisper in their brains, scattering their thoughts, making them forget why they were even here. It wasn't malice. It was justice. They deserved to be confused, to lose their way, just as they had tried to confuse and mislead me. Below, Quinn's forces, those pathetic, augmented drones, crashed against the Queen of Flow's dwindling resistance. They were just pawns, really. Useful, for now. Their mindless aggression was a good distraction. I let my emotional flatlining contagion wash over them, a wave of beautiful apathy. It made them so much easier to control. So much quieter. No more annoying emotions. Just obedience. The alchemist's faint, almost imperceptible threads of influence, woven into the contagion, ensured their compliance. He understood how to quiet the noise, how to make them listen. "He's coming," the alchemist warned, gesturing with a skeletal finger towards the sky. "The one you call Blade. His Hikari light still flickers, a pathetic attempt at righteousness. He will try to fix you again." I laughed, a clear, triumphant sound that echoed across the war-torn city. "He'll see. He'll all see. My truth. And then he'll be mine, just as he always was, beneath his lies. He tried to make me believe I was sick, that meth was the problem. He's the problem. He always was." The hum intensified. The symphony was reaching its crescendo. I closed my eyes for a moment, basking in the pure, unadulterated power of my flow, This was what it felt like to be truly free, to be truly understood, to finally be the one in control. The alchemist's presence was a comforting hum, a subtle reinforcement of my every thought, my every truth. The Queen of Flow's screams were a distant, satisfying melody. Let them fight. Let them struggle. Soon Jeremiah would be here. And then the real show would begin. The one where he finally understood. The one where he finally paid for what he did. T2, Chapter 5, Love is a Battlefield. Mianyang Battle. From the Obsidian Blade's perspective, the roar of, quote, the Requiem's engines was a guttural snarl, a promise of impact as Ren guided them through the Mianyang clouds. Below, the city was a canvas of screaming chaos, painted in the garish hues of flow corruption. Explosions ripped the skyline, and the Queen of Flow, Tempo's mother, was a beleaguered beacon amidst the storm, her sonic syndicate dwindling under the relentless assault of Quinn's augmented legions. And there, at the heart of the maelstrom, was her, Mariah. His Hikari eye saw the tactical nightmare, the battered queen, the overwhelming numbers. But his Yami eye, the one that saw the dark truths, confirmed the deeper horror. Mariah, the siren of static, pulsed with a malevolent, amplified energy. Her eyes, once disturbingly vacant, now burned with a sick, predatory crimson, reflecting the twisted sentience of the Oni's cruel hunger, a hunger that fed on her own profound illness. The air around her shimmered with impossible colors, distorting geometries, her very presence a profoundly disorienting force. Kiesa's words echoed. Vacant vessel. Weaponized psyche. Get ready for impact. Samson's voice, calm as the eye of a storm, sliced through the comms. He was at the controls, directing Ren as he guided the Requiem through a hail of energy blasts, his flow mastery grounding their descent. The ramp hissed open, plunging them into the maelstrom. Tempo leapt first, her sonic gun already spitting focused bursts of purple energy, scattering a group of Quinn's augmented legionnaires. Helena, a blur of dark efficiency, was a step behind, her twin commas carving arcs of crimson. Shortcut phased in and out, a shimmering disruption, disorienting attackers before they could even register his presence. Skargan, her cracked earth skin pulsing with faint green light, struck the ground, sending fissures of corrupted geomancy tearing through the earth, creating barriers of crumbling stone. But Blade's eyes, his every instinct, were locked on Mariah. She wasn't charging. She wasn't leading the direct assault. Just as Kiesa had warned, just as his fractured memories had anticipated, she was orchestrating from a distance. Her weaponized psychosis was a pervasive wave, twisting the very fabric of sanity around her. He felt it, a subtle disassociation, a sense of unreality starting to creep in, trying to detach him from his own body. It was like fighting underwater, his own movements feeling sluggish, his thoughts not quite his own, and beside her, the alchemist, a sinister conductor, waved his tattered threads, funneling cultivated consciousness flows towards them. Blade felt the familiar pulse of anxious static flow, trying to induce panic, to disrupt his concentration. Then came the heavy, viscous pull of depressive gravity flow, a psychic pressure designed to crush his motivation, to induce despair. These were his symbiote enforcers, shimmering constructs of raw emotion, manifesting his cruelty as tangible blades. His influence was subtle, a whisper in the back of his mind, reinforcing Mariah's accusations, making them feel like undeniable truths. She's playing psychological warfare. Blade snarled, his voice rough, the Yami aspect of his bipolar flow flaring in response. His Hikari side wanted to find a way to reach her, to pull her back from the edge, but the Yami screamed for destruction. This is what you unleashed, Jeremiah. This is what you left behind. This is what you allowed to fester. Their thoughts will scatter, their focus will break, their memories will fray when they try to cross me. Mariah's words from Zara's vision echoed in his mind, amplified by her presence. And then, the new terrifying addition, her emotional flatlining contagion. A chilling apathy began to settle over the battlefield, dampening the fighting spirit of some of the scattered civilian resistance, mirroring Mariah's own magnificent emptiness. His own emotions, usually a tempest, felt strangely muted, a dangerous numbness. The alchemist's threads, almost imperceptible, wove through this contagion, ensuring it spread, ensuring compliance. Samson was already directing the counter. Nia, Alasdair, Ayana, focus on their emotional signatures. Disrupt the contagion. Naya, trembling, her empathic flow a turbulent stream, struggled to filter the overwhelming emotional discord, her cries of too much barely audible. Alasdair, his geometric perceptions flaring, tried to find structural weaknesses in the alchemist's psychic constructs, his own anger momentarily a shield against the encroaching despair. Ayana, amidst her own auditory hallucinations, focused, her sensitivity now a weapon, trying to pinpoint the corrupted song of the Oni energy, trying to discern Mariah's true location through the static. Blade! Tempo's voice cut through. 50 cows on the alchemist's guards. My sonic cannon's locked on Mariah, but I need a clear shot. Blade's katana, Oathkeeper, hummed in his hand. He charged, a dark blur across the ravaged ground. His bipolar flow surged, Hikari and Yami warring within him. The Yami craved to meet Mariah's destructive power with his own, to end the source of this agonizing echo. But the Hikari part, the one that still held onto the ghost of what was, still wanted to protect. This internal struggle was a constant torment, the very essence of his bipolar flow. Then Mariah's voice, distorted but eerily clear, echoed in his head, not through his comms but directly in his mind. It was the voice from that night, a month before the Vegas trip, amplified by Oni power, twisting the knife in his soul. The grimy motel room in Modesto, California, reeked of stale meth and desperation. He had been with her for 2 weeks straight, her safe zone amidst the swirling delusions that often targeted him. But he knew she saw and heard things others didn't. He'd learned to navigate that. Tonight, though, was different. They had to leave for the train in a few hours, and he needed her to come. Mariah, please, he pleaded, his voice cracking, barely audible over the TV's static. We need to get some help. Things are getting worse. We can't keep doing this. Mariah, hunched in the corner, her eyes wide and unfocused, slowly looked up. Her face, usually devoid of emotion, twisted into a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. Help? She hissed, her voice rising to a shriek. I don't need help. You're the one who needs help. You're the one playing games. Always trying to control me. Always twisting everything back on me. Her paranoia flared, a hostile shield. I'm not going on that train with you. Go ahead. Leave then. Her conviction of her own righteousness was unshakable, impervious to logic. She saw his attempt to help as an absolute attack, a betrayal of her sanity. Blade tried to reason to explain the train schedule, the need to be up by 8 a.m. for a 10 a.m. departure. But she was up until 6 a.m., a whirlwind of agitated energy and denial. At 8 a.m. he tried to wake her, but she couldn't or wouldn't stir. The train was leaving. He had to go. At 9:30 a.m. the text came. I can't believe you left me. He offered to catch the next train, to Uber her. No, she texted back. Go ahead. Later that night, another text, dripping with venom. I can't believe you left me, I'm so hurt. That was the start of the month-long social withdrawal, the silent chasm before the trip of chaos. Mariah's amplified voice cut through the memory, a cruel, triumphant shriek. He just projects his own insecurities onto me, always has. He always abandons me. He's the one who needs to be fixed. Blade faltered, his movements losing their practiced grace. Her conviction was unshakable, impervious to logic. She truly believed her lies, twisting reality to fit her self-serving narratives. The alchemist's subtle influence, a faint hum in the background, reinforced her every accusation, making them resonate deeper within his fracturing mind. You always wanted to be the strong one, Jeremiah, Mariah's voice sneered, always pretending to be the good guy. But look at you. You're nothing but a coward. You always abandoned me. You judged me. And then, it happened. His entire form convulsed, the white of his mask, the fangs, the cloak. They twisted, melted, shifted. His Hikari eye vanished, subsumed by the deepening crimson of his Yami. His posture changed, shoulders broadening, a brutal, almost monstrous silhouette forming. The obsidian blade was gone. In his place stood a hulking figure, wreathed in shadows, his two eyes glowing with a terrifying, malevolent red. This wasn't bipolar flow. This was something darker, something twisted and complete. Blade! No, Samson roared, sensing the shift. This is what he truly is, Mariah purred, her voice dripping with satisfaction. The fear, the rage, the suffering he buried. It's beautiful, isn't it? My masterpiece. The alchemist, a shadow at her side, offered a faint, approving hum, his threads of control now fully integrated. The creature that was once Blade turned its head, two glowing crimson eyes fixed on them. It wasn't the cynical, protective gaze they knew. This was cold, predatory. This was obsidian clover. Blade! It's me, Tempo! Florence screamed, her sonic blast faltering. Don't you recognize us? T2, Chapter 6. The anchor unmoored. Tempo's perspective. Deadass, the creature that was once Blade turned its head. Two glowing crimson eyes fixed on us, and for a second my whole reality glitched. This wasn't the cynical, protective gaze I knew. Nah. This was cold, predatory. This was Clover, yo, and my guts just got twisted up tighter than a busted guitar string. Blade! It's me, Tempo! I screamed, my sonic blast faltering. The feedback in my rig was a high-pitched whine of pure anguish. Don't you recognize us? My brother. My friend. My Blade. He's attacking us? My whole brain was bugging. This ain't right, man. This ain't him. But Clover's new voice, a low, guttural growl that resonated with a raw, elemental fury I'd never heard before, spoke not of recognition, but of resentment. Weakness, it rumbled. A wave of pure, destructive Yami flow erupted from its hands, hitting us like a bad bass drop, rattling our whole mix. It wasn't aimed at Quinn's forces. It was aimed at us. At his old crew. The familiar energy, warped and amplified by some sick beat, slammed into our shields, threatening to buckle them. The very air shuddered, and a collective gasp tore through the crew as the impact threw us back. He's attacking us! Alistair shrieked, his geometric flow scrambling. His vision was fracturing and showing impossible angles of betrayal. Naya cried out, overwhelmed by the sudden surge of betrayal, her empathic flow screaming with the pain of a broken bond, her aura flaring erratically. Samson's gut twisted. Blade. Their Blade. Fighting him. The horror of it was a physical blow, heavier than any corrupted flow. This was the precipice Chiesa warned of, the unraveling of a soul he was sworn to protect. Mariah threw back her head and laughed, a chilling, triumphant sound that cut through the cacophony of battle. My new groove, she shrieked, her voice echoing across the devastated city. His suffering? That's my purpose. And then, the unthinkable, for real. The Siren of Static, now looking even more messed up with this predatory vibe, straight up turned her amplified, emotional flatlining contagion on Quinn's stunned forces. A wave of profound apathy washed over them, their forms slumping, their upgraded weapons clattered to the ground. We watched, mouths hanging open, as Quinn's legions, moments ago a relentless threat, just stopped. Dead in their tracks, their aggression drained away like water from a sieve. It was a silent, chilling spectacle of total control, man. She hadn't been fighting Quinn's army. She'd been using them. A slick, silent coup, orchestrated with the alchemist's grimy-ass help. Foolish pawns, she sneered, her voice now filled with utter contempt for her former allies. She raised a hand, and Clover, now a terrifyingly obedient shadow, marched to her side. His raw strength, once our shield, was now her weapon. As the Siren of Static and Clover just straight-up disappeared into a shimmering haze, man, it left behind this cold, empty feeling, a gaping hole in the whole damn world. The rest of Quinn's crew, all frozen and dead-eyed, just stopped. The immediate threat from those augmented legions vanished, leaving behind an eerie silence that was heavier than a bad album drop. The Queen of Flow and her sonic syndicate, beat up but still standing, just stared in stunned disbelief. Her people started falling back from this ghost town, and the whole thing was just messed up. Scar Crew. Consolidate, Samson roared, his voice raw but firm. Quinn's forces are neutralized. We hold this ground. We were shaken, but we were intact. We moved to secure the area, our faces grim. We had technically won this specific engagement, as Quinn's army lay scattered and inert. But the victory tasted like ash. It was a hollow victory tour, for real. As the last echoes of Mariah's chilling laughter faded, the distant hum of incoming transports grew louder. We were left with the bitter taste of profound loss, the horror of watching a friend fall. The memory of Mariah's words lingered, a haunting echo. He made me this way. He unleashed this. And now, he'll pay. All of them will. The fight for Mian Yang was a crushing defeat. The war for Blade's soul, now corrupted into obsidian clover, had only just begun. The song he was supposed to sing with us? It's gone. Just static now. T2, Chapter 7, The Aftermath, A World Unmasked. From Director Chiesa's perspective, the sterile hum of the Pyrenees facility now felt like a discordant drone. Holographic displays mirrored the global chaos, broadcasting the Mianyang retreat. Mariah and Jeremiah, consumed by shadows as obsidian clover and the Siren of Static, had vanished. Their terrifying, volatile union unleashed an expanding Oni-toxic love flow, a pervasive psychic resonance threatening Earth, the dark echo of Quinn's amplified influence. The global reaction was, predictably, a maelstrom of fear and confusion. And, as always, opportunistic factions seized upon the devastation to further their own agendas. The news cycles, relayed through Rensato's meticulously secured channels, blared two opposing narratives, each equally chilling in its implications. Chiesa processed the incoming rhetoric. I figli del disfacimento, the children of unraveling, were leveraging Mian Yang as undeniable proof of unchecked consciousness. Their doctrine, a radical deconstruction of the psyche, stripping away individuality to eliminate unstable manifestations. They framed mental illness not as a struggle, but a contagion. They're fixing a brutal purge for societal pacification. A chilling logic, fundamentally about control, eradicating complex thought and emotion. Simultaneously, the Hunt, Temporal Dissection Unit 7, seized on the same destruction to push their non-flow program. They painted every flow user as a ticking time bomb, advocating for complete suppression and eradication of all flow abilities. No flow, no problem. A reductive solution, stripping humanity of its profound potentials for a fragile, forced order. Both factions, in their pursuit of control, sought to destroy the very essence of what the light defended. Her team, the Scar crew and the Outcasts, stood in grim silence, watching the spectacle. Florence, their tempo, paced, her sonic gun still clutched in her hand. "Yo, these cats are twisted, man," she muttered, her Brooklyn vernacular laced with disgust. "Talking about fixing people by breaking them apart, or just shutting down the whole damn flow. They ain't got a clue what they talking about. That ain't a cure, that's straight up murder of the soul." Helena, Shadowfang, leaned against a console, her crimson eyes fixed on the screen, her silence more damning than any words. Rensato, ever the pragmatist, was already cross-referencing the news feeds, looking for vulnerabilities, for patterns in the propaganda. "Their dissemination is highly efficient," he observed, his voice flat, leveraging the collective trauma effectively. Nia Adebayo, whose empathic flow was undoubtedly screaming from the global fear, huddled close to Alasdair. Her entire body trembled. "They're turning fear into a weapon. Against us." Alasdair, his geometric vision processing the world's distorted perception, just nodded grimly. "The angles of their arguments are designed to compartmentalize, to simplify complexity into fear, a dangerous form of cognitive bias." A heavy, shared silence fell over the crew, a collective understanding passing between them, a grim acknowledgement of the new, insidious battlefront. Their gazes, hardened by countless scars, met across the room, a silent vow of defiance against the narrative seeking to define them. Samson stood beside Chiesa, his imposing presence a steady anchor. His eyes, usually serene, were clouded with a deep concern. He glanced at where Blade should have been. The wound of his loss and the nature of his transformation into obsidian clover was fresh. Mariah, Jeremiah, their profound illnesses, once confined to the tragic orbit of their love, were now the catalyst for a global ideological war. Mariah's lack of insight, her anosognosia, meant she genuinely believed she was sane, a victim, and her actions justified. Her schizophrenia flow allowed her to warp perception, projecting her delusions and paranoia onto others, amplifying her victimhood narrative. She truly believed her lies were the truth, twisting reality to fit her self-serving narratives. And Jeremiah, consumed by the Clover persona, his bipolar flow now a weaponized instrument of rage, was no longer his own man. His fight against her, his attempts to fix her, had only accelerated his own unraveling into a force of her command. Their tragic codependence, amplified by the Oni, had birthed a new, devastating threat. "The true horror," Chiesa stated, her voice cutting through the subdued chatter of the room, "is not merely the external manifestation of corrupted flow. It is the weaponization of human suffering itself. The Scar Genesis is reflecting, distorting, and weaponizing the fundamental flaws of consciousness. The world, already scarred, was now being forced to confront the darkest aspects of its own mind, broadcast for all to see. And the Oni toxic love flow that Mariah and Obsidian Clover carried was not just a threat to physical structures, but to the very fabric of empathy, reason, and collective sanity. This was a war unlike any other, fought not just with energy blasts, but with twisted narratives and weaponized pathologies. And the light, bruised but not broken, stood in its path, tasked with defending a world that barely understood the nature of its own wounds. Chiesa's voice resonated with grim determination. "The siren of static has sung, weaponizing suffering itself. This is a war for the very fabric of consciousness. Initiate immediate deployment. The Requiem is ready. Our objective, Mianyang. The light will defend the mind, even if the world does not yet understand its wounds." T2, Chapter 8, The Architect's Postmortem. Greetings, observers. Chiesa of the Light. The battle for Mianyang, a tactical skirmish now concluded, serves as a stark illustration of the true conflict unfolding within this scarred genesis. My purpose here is not to offer solace, but clarity, to dissect the mechanics of the wound that has just been inflicted, and to illuminate the nature of the weapon. You have witnessed the unraveling of Jeremiah, the transformation of Blade into Obsidian Clover. This outcome, while tragic, was a predictable consequence of engaging with a mind as profoundly fractured as Mariah's. Her pathologies are not abstract concepts. They are active, weaponized forces. Consider Mariah's anosognosia, her absolute, unshakable conviction that she is not ill, that her perceptions are reality, and that her actions are always justified. Jeremiah, in his inherent drive to fix and to seek truth, presented logic, offered help. To Mariah, this was not compassion. It was an attack. An attempt to control, to invalidate her very being. His hope, a vulnerable and potent energy, became a resource for her. It was systematically absorbed and recoded within her delusional framework, transformed into further evidence of his perceived betrayal, his abandonment, his fault. Her pervasive blame-shifting is not a conscious act of malice, but an instinctual defense mechanism of a mind under siege by its own internal chaos. The "you left me" incident, the accusations of playing games, the denial of her substance abuse, these are not merely lies. They are the absolute truths of her distorted reality. When Jeremiah sought accountability, he was, in her perception, merely confirming his role as the aggressor, the one making her this way. His efforts to bridge the chasm of understanding only widened it, as his words were systematically reinterpreted to fit her narrative of perpetual victimhood. The alchemist, a parasitic entity, understood this. He did not need to create her madness. He merely needed to validate it. His subtle threads of influence amplified her existing delusions, whispered confirmations of her truths, and reinforced her unshakable denial. He leveraged her suffering, transforming her profound internal pain into a potent, weaponized flow, a siren of static that draws others into its destructive resonance. This is the chilling reality of the weaponization of human suffering. Mariah's pain, her illness, her trauma, these are the very engines driving the oni-toxic love flow. It is a self-perpetuating cycle, where compassion is met with accusation, truth with denial, and attempts at healing are perceived as further assaults. Jeremiah's tragic transformation into obsidian clover is the direct, devastating consequence of this engagement. He was consumed not by physical force, but by the insidious, unyielding logic of her fractured reality, by the despair of being unable to penetrate the impenetrable barrier of her mind. The victory in Mianyang was a tactical illusion. The true defeat lies in the corruption of a soul, in the amplification of a personal tragedy into a multiversal threat. The Scar Crew may have cleared the physical battlefield, but the psychological war, fueled by weaponized pathologies, has only just begun. Understand this, for in every saga a mirror is held to your own reality. The lessons are harsh, but the truth is paramount.